Sikonathi Mantshantsha is the spokesperson for the power utility Eskom, and he's joining us now via Zoom. A very good morning to you, Mr. Mantshantsha. The latest announcement of outages until Friday, will these be staggered, or is this from today until Friday?
These are rolling schedules, as you will see in the load shedding schedule, where each area will be shed for about 2 hours at a time, and this will go on until Friday. It is not that you will be completely in the dark until that period.
That would be a scary prospect, won't it? But just in terms of allaying the concerns of our viewers as we get into the winter month, what prospects are there that things could turn around and we could go back to full capacity?
Desiree, we have to say this up front, as I have been communicated for the past 2 months. During the winter, which is traditionally the high demand season, we can expect load shedding to occur throughout this winter. There will be times when we again come back and say we have to reduce demand, we have to implement load shedding. That's unfortunately the situation, and we will have this for the next few weeks. I must tell you that currently Eskom is able to supply 32,000 megawatts of capacity in the evenings where the demand is highest. Compare that to November, when Eskom was able to supply only 28,000 megawatts of capacity. So we have added the 4,000 to 5,000 megawatts, which had been prepared to meet the high demand for the winter. As I have just said now, Desiree, that unfortunately is not enough to eliminate the occurrence of load shedding. We will still have that for quite a while, as Eskom has been communicating constantly over the past year and a half.
Are we able to get an indication of the impact on different areas? Which areas are more impacted than others?
Load shedding affects all South Africans, all parts of South Africa equally. As I have said, each suburb or area will be affected for about 2 hours at a time, and the load shedding can be found on the Eskom website, loadshedding.eskom.co.za, where it will tell you when your suburb can expect to not have power.
So on to other matters at Eskom, labour and legal issues. Just give us a sense of where the labour negotiation process is at the moment.
The wage talks continue as scheduled, and this last round of talks is scheduled to end tomorrow, Thursday, the 3rd of June. And as you said in your intro, the unions have lowered some of their demands, with the National Union of Mine Workers demanding a 10% wage increase, down from 15% at the start of the talks. NUMSA demanding now 12%, down from 15%. Solidarity is still at a demand of 9.5% increase in the basic wage. Eskom's final offer of 1.5% still stands and is on the table, and that is conditional on the trade unions accepting some variation in the benefits being enjoyed currently by employees. Eskom has identified aspects of the remuneration benefits where it is there are excesses way above the norm. So the parties are still trying to find one another during the wage talks today.
Is it promising?
The reason the talks are still continuing is exactly because the parties are doing everything they can to reach a solution and an agreement.
Yeah. We're also reporting today that Frans Tlhakudi is expected to appear in the courts with relation to fraud at Eskom amounting to about 30 million rands. Is Eskom hoping to recoup this money, perhaps?
I think there are two matters that you are referring to, Desiree. That particular one is a matter with the South African Revenue Service, where the tax service, and please do check with them, where they are pursuing him for unpaid taxes. With regards to Eskom, Eskom did lay charges against Mr. Tlhakudi and many other people In total, there are 110 criminal cases lying with the South African Police Service. We have only seen arrest in one case, and that is the one involving Mr. Hlakudi, where he was arrested with 3 other individuals, one other person having been an employee of Eskom previously. The amount there in dispute, or rather the amount that Eskom complained about, is 745 million rands that has been that is subject to the corruption, and the criminal case is continuing in the courts. And as you know, the state prosecute those matters. Eskom has indeed also instituted a civil claim to try and recover some of the monies that have been lost, not only in this case with Tubular Construction, but there's many other cases. You know of a figure of 3.8 billion rand just in one other instance, where 12 former executives and former politicians have been charged. In total, right now, what is before the courts is an amount of about 7 billion rand, where Eskom is trying to claw back from various parties under different contracts, various suppliers. That is in the civil suit. But the criminal matters are with the South African Police Service, where we have not seen as much action as we would like. The Special Investigations Unit has been working very closely with Eskom, and we have recovered over the past 2 years over 2.5 billion rand in monies that were previously lost due to this kind of corruption.
2 matters we're keen to hear on. Where are you on the process of the dismissal of Procurement Officer Solichi Tangano? We know that he's been found guilty on 5 charges, but also the racism investigation into CEO Andre de Ruyter. How far is that?
Thank you. Desiree, those are 2 separate cases, as you have said. Mr. Chitangano's case was concluded last week on the 28th of May 2021 with a dismissal letter after the recommendations from the chair of the disciplinary process, where Mr. Chitangano was found guilty on 5 charges, including non-performance, including favoring a supplier above the interests of Eskom, including contravention of the Public Finance Management Act. So the internal processes on that, internal Eskom processes, have been completed. And Mr. Chitangano, like any citizen of this democratic country, has the right to appeal or challenge his dismissal, and that is entirely up to him. The racism allegation, the investigation into the allegation by Mr. Chitangano into the Chief Executive Officer is being conducted by Advocate Ishmael Simenya, who at any point will be able to furnish his report to the board which commissioned the investigation. We expect that Advocate Simenya any day will have completed his investigations. We are aware that he has interviewed several people that he needed to talk to in order to arrive at a conclusion. We will communicate that as soon as we have an outcome.
Seemingly, you're making headway in all of these investigations that you have. How will this benefit the South African public, who is your foremost client?
In terms of the case about the Chief Procurement Officer, which we've just spoken about, Eskom conducts all of its contracting where it spends about 160 billion rand a year through the procurement office that was headed by Mr. Chitangano. When we are able to put the measures in place and ensure that Eskom pays fair and efficient prices for all contracting, that goes directly back to the pockets of consumers, the clients, the people who use the electricity, in the form of lower costs for electricity itself, because the inputs will have been lowered. With regards to the allegation against racism of the Chief Executive Officer, you should agree with me indeed that you cannot have such a senior person, basically all of Eskom reporting to, accused of racism, and if any evidence is found for any action to be taken, Eskom will take that action so that the institution can properly serve all the people of South Africa without any prejudice, and racism absolutely has no place inside Eskom, and that is why that investigation is being conducted.
Sikonathi, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Welcome.
Sikonathi Mantshantsha is the spokesperson for Eskom, and this ties into that conversation we're having with you today, where we're asking you to also call us on that number 084-813-3465, or also talk to us at the agenda_SABC. We're saying with Eskom implementing stage 2 load shedding from this morning until 10 on Friday evening, how are you coping with